Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. This has been like one of the best stages every year so far because it's always packed and it's always has great speakers. So thank you guys for having us back. Nice to see all of you. How many of you have used Vexl this weekend? Yeah. All right, so I see a few hands, but we need to pump those numbers, right? So if you don't know what Vexl is, I'll kind of give you a brief introduction. Vexl is a mobile app that's designed to help you peer-to-peer Bitcoin the way it was intended without KYC. What we do is we leverage your network of friends and friends of friends to help you connect and be able to trade not only Bitcoin, but goods, services, and things like this as well. So what we want to kind of do is open it up to you guys to maybe ask us some questions as well, and help you maybe get started. This weekend, we have Vexl Club for BTC Prague. So if you're in town and you want to try it out and you want to have some good peer-to-peer trades, you can actually do that here if you stop by our booth, and we'll get you in the club, which will connect you with everybody here. But we also have another big announcement that we revealed this weekend, which is the Freedom Store. So I will let you because obviously Dusan wants us to talk a little bit about that. And it is our biggest news this weekend. So I'll let you introduce that.
All right. As you probably know, many of you know, the Bitcoin applications, Nostro applications, eCash clients, and similar Freedom Tech often get censored through and they are basically not allowed to be distributed via the official channels like the App Store. And we decided to stand up because, well, Vexl is, of course, one of the affected apps. And we've been back and forth with Apple for months. At this point, it might have been years even.
It's definitely years at this point.
Yeah. So, well, basically this, and like after the last time we've been threatened to be removed even from test flight, we decided that, well, something needs to be done, and we took the chance. And as it's not just us, and as I said, it's many other projects that are allowing you to defend your individual financial freedom and financial privacy. We decided to offer this space to other apps as well. So already you can find their BitKit or Bull Bitcoin as really cool non-custodial wallets. You can find Sovereign or Minibits, which are eCash wallets, and even Flash, which is an app designed for Caribbean, but available everywhere in the world. And they allow you to earn and spend Bitcoin without bank ID, nothing. So I'm very excited about having them at the Freedom Store standing next to us.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I mean, one of the biggest, things we've seen with, talking about Vexl and getting installed is a lot of us do use iPhones, and a lot of us have to go through that test flight process with many apps. And so as Bitcoiners, I think most of us do actually already have test flight on our phone if we're an option, and think proactively about what do we do if these apps and Bitcoin keeps growing the way it's growing. And so I think the Freedom Store is, our proactive answer to censorship. And part of the Vexl's Foundation's mission is to create something that's censorship and resistant. And I think that that's what we are finally kind of introducing. And it's really cool because there are so many developers out there in the open source community who have the same problem. And that's where, I hear this all the time from people who champion open source is you do have to ask for help. And now we can help you get there. So I'm really proud of the Freedom Store and the work that we've done with that. So, yeah.
I would like to, pay the kudos to developers. And I realize, and I well know, the pain that is associated with the uncertainty when you don't know the day and an hour when you're going to get rug pulled by these big tech monopolies. So I really, really hope that we will be able to provide them with at least a bit of an alternative how to actually get their app to the end user.
Yeah, but the real reason we're kind of here this weekend is to actually talk a little bit about Vexl and what it means to be able to peer-to-peer. So if you're not, if you haven't used this, right, and maybe you have some questions about it, and we want to give you guys the opportunity to ask us. We've been working on this for a few years now, and we finally gotten to a place where Vexl is growing, and it's amazing to see the communities popping up, far and wide. And we've done that because of people like you who have Bitcoin communities, who are going to meetups and who are talking. We are a nonprofit, so we do not monetize Vexl. We are only supported through grants and through donations from people like you. We've been very fortunate to have the Human Rights Foundation help us and OpenSats. And, this has been something is why people ask us all the time, why are you doing this? And it's really because, we want this. Everything kind of starts from a selfish point of view, I think. And it's like, I want to be able to buy Bitcoin peer-to-peer. I think you guys do. That's the very first line of the Bitcoin white paper is peer-to-peer electronic cash without those trusted middlemen. And so we don't need trusted middlemen when you have friends. And that's what we decided, I think, is the best way to actually do it. And the first time you use Vexl and the first time you meet somebody and you do it, it just, a light bulb goes off in your head and you say, this is cool and I want to do it more. How many have any of you bought Bitcoin peer-to-peer with cash before? Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it always feels good, right? When you pay with cash for Bitcoin, right? Yeah. But when we look at what the reason behind it is, we wanted to create something that was super intuitive for anyone to be able to use. I think that really my grandmother could open up Vexl and figure out how it works because it's in plain, simple words. I have cash. I want to buy Bitcoin. Here's how many friends I have. But what we've also seen is that you can make friends with this as well. Is if I have 10 or 15 friends in common with somebody and I meet for a trade, we might have coffee. And the next thing you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours goes by. And now I have a new friend that I didn't know before who's a Bitcoiner like me. So.
Yeah, I wanted to say that Grafton is right. It was partly selfish. We were solving a real problem we had. And there were solutions for peer-to-peer non-KYC Bitcoins, but all of them, they kind of came with a certain set of drawbacks, which are quite dangerous if you think about them. Most importantly, imagine people tend to ask me about the flagged Bitcoin. What if I buy flagged Bitcoin over Vexl? And I'm like, dude, that's almost impossible. Do you have any friends around you that could have a flagged Bitcoin for some reason? My response is always, you should worry about flagged fiat. And this is one of the biggest problems that the other solutions out there had. And we were trying to address because people usually don't realize what the major problem it is. If you send money via a wire transfer to someone on the other side of the world and you don't know who this person is, you can't verify the identity of that counterparty. And imagine that person, it gets caught selling wheat in Singapore. And you have this link with this person in the banking system forever. This is very problematic for your credit score, so-called, for your payment history. To have such a flag in the real world and it's indelible. This is something people tend to forget. So I wanted to address this because I was expecting this to be the very first question. What I get the flagged Bitcoin? What could be what could be the consequences? And I just basically wanted to motivate you to think differently and think about flagged fiat because that is a much bigger problem. And you would not even know which trade it was or which trader was the problematic one. You just, what would happen for you is basically your bank accounts would get terminated. A new one would not get opened.
Well, it's also not even only that, right? I've heard stories. I go to lots of conferences and I talk to lots of people who have used other peer-to-peer platforms where you do settle payments via bank transfer, and they go, "Oh, these platforms are great, but I don't use them anymore." And I say, "Well, why?" They say, "Well, because my bank froze my account," and they asked me to explain why am I having all of these transactions coming in and who are these people. And so it's not even just about the risk of maybe trading with somebody who could become a criminal, but it's about the fact that your bank doesn't like you doing this kinds of transactions. And then if you get unbanked and if your bank account is frozen, we see this. People tell me all the time, it's like, oh, I buy Bitcoin on Revolut. And I go, what the hell are you doing? Because I've heard countless stories of Revolut just freezing your account instantly and you don't have the ability to do anything anymore.
Most importantly, if you're buying Bitcoin on Revolut, you are not exactly buying Bitcoin.
No, not at all. But it's just not the proper, I look at it and it goes back to what's not only the proper way and the coolest way to buy Bitcoin, but it was the way that it was actually intended. It is peer to peer. So with that, I want to give you guys the chance to maybe ask us some questions. If you're curious, if you have any, questions for us, please raise your hand and we'll get you the mic. Yeah. Yeah, we got one over here. Yeah.
Sorry, thanks. Just wanted to ask you if there's going to be any Vexl booth next year, for example, where we can Vexl like telephone booth. It would be,
and this idea, it comes in circles every year. People don't realize it's not actually the best OPSEC ever, because then we want you to go and have a coffee somewhere. We don't want to have a dedicated place where everyone will know that there is a peer-to-peer non-KYC trade going on. So it's like, it sounds good on the first sight, but then when you think two steps further, it's I would not support it. Like every year, someone in my team comes up with this idea, and I'm like, okay, for the last time, I'm telling you, this is not what we're going to do.
Anybody else got a question? Yeah? I saw him first. We'll go here.
Okay, just a question. Do you have experience with the projects like BSIQ as far as peer-to-peer is concerned? They've got the bank problem as anyone. I don't know if you can give us your personal opinion on BISC and some other solutions, and what are you going to do better or in another way?
BISC is a great project, and it certainly has its place in the Bitcoin industry. And we were trying to address its biggest drawback, which is, from my perspective, the settlement via the wire transfer. So we really encourage you to do the settlement via cash, or if you are doing the wire transfer, you should do it really only with someone someone you know. A second thing that we were trying to address, and again, this is not coming from the bottom of my heart. I really think BISC is a great project and it has its space. I want to repeat that, but the UX is not optimal. As Grafton was saying about his grandma, if she takes her mobile and opens Vexl, she can use it. If you need tutorial to be able to use a product, it's not going to reach masses. That's and BISC's UX is very challenging from my opinion. And last but not least, it's the fact that you already need to have Bitcoin in order to be able to join the network, which makes total sense for the way how BISC operates. But Vexl, from this perspective, Vexl is much less permissionless because you just need the mobile phone. And that's it.
Yeah, one thing is also...
And yeah, Marco corrected me, you also need cash.
Yeah, one thing it's also is actually like I said, BISC, great platform, and I understand the use case. But even on BISC's knowledge base, it says, well, you need Bitcoin. It's the chicken before the egg problem, right? Is what do you have? But at the same time, they say, if you want Bitcoin, you should ask a friend or a family member for Bitcoin. So they're essentially recommending the same thing that we are implementing, which is you don't need these platforms. You don't need to trade with strangers if you have a good network of friends and friends of friends. and we're all connected in some way. It's like the 6 degrees of from Kevin Bacon. I like to change it to we're all 6 degrees from Satoshi Nakamoto, because yes, we all are interacting with each other, and we do discover these weird connections. And people tell me all the time, well, I don't know anybody. Nobody I know is a Bitcoiner. And then I'll watch them install Vexl, watch them pull it up, and they'll see the look on their face when they're shocked that they have 500 connections already using Vexl. And I go, yeah, because you're a Bitcoiner and you already have a lot of Bitcoiner friends. And so we looking at these platforms is, yeah, a lot of times they are for people who believe that they don't have friends or friends of friends who are Bitcoiners. So I think that we are trying to solve that to make sure that you can trade locally. You can do it with cash, and you can do it with actual people that you trust. And I know that if I have, a lot of friends in common with you, there's a lot more trust there than some random person. So to answer your question, what are we doing differently? We're doing just that. We are connecting you with your real world reputation, not your online one. And reputation can be gamed. You see 5-star reviews, you see this. And, I always use the example is you're all visiting Prague. I don't know how many of you have been to Prague before this trip, or is this your first trip, right? And do you know the best restaurants in town? Do you know the best places to go? Well, if you're bringing a friend with you the first time, you might already have, and you want your friends to have a good time. You shouldn't go to Google or TripAdvisor, because I promise you the best restaurant in Prague is not an Indian restaurant. I love Indian food, but the reputation has been gamed. And that's why I only trust people that I can trust through friends and friends of friends. Yeah. Cool. We'll get to you.
Are there plans to also make Vexl include peer-to-peer jobs and peer-to-peer services, not just like Bitcoin transactions? Because I also think there's a big need for that as well, not just like buying Bitcoin and selling Bitcoin, but also services and products directly, right?
This actually kind of happened, and I was wrong here. I can admit that. I didn't see that coming, but basically, when we launched Vexl for the first time, it was just for peer-to-peer trades of Bitcoin for cash. And then, suddenly, our marketplace actually got spammed big time. And it was spammed by people selling extra carrots they grew. Tutoring lessons, guitar lessons.
Graphics design.
Graphics design, yes. Like all kinds of services you can imagine, all kinds of produce, local meat, local eggs, whatever these people had abundance of. So we actually had to introduce these categories. And it's like I'm mind blown with the creativity of the people, of the people what they are actually selling there for sets. And also it works vice versa, because many people here in Czech Republic in particular, but also, for example, in our African communities, they would be earning sats. And why would they like exchange it if they can pay directly for that? So you can actually find offerings like, I'm a Bitcoiner and I need help on my house, like or I need a plumber, I need whatever you name.
Well, this was actually the first year that I was single around Christmas time, and I did not have a girlfriend to help me make Christmas cookies this year. So I pulled up the Vexl app and I saw that someone was offering Christmas cookies for sale around Christmas time, and I was missing them this year. So I showed it to you, and I think both of us, because Lea was very busy this year and didn't have time to make Christmas cookies. So I sent her out on a Vexl trade to pick up Christmas cookies from a guy who was selling Christmas cookies for Bitcoin this year. So to answer your question, yeah, that's already there. We have tab in the Vexl app that says, I have a product and I want cash, or I'm searching for a product, or I'm looking for something else, which is where we've seen electricians, where we've seen plumbers. I saw a guy.
Go first.
Yeah, I saw a guy in Botswana selling like pickled vegetables, and it was such a cool thing because someone actually drove from Namibia to Botswana to pick up pickled vegetables because they went, there's a guy here on Vexl and I want to meet him. So, and we've seen that. Yeah.
Just want to ask you, what is your favorite offer that you've seen on Vexl so far?
So I still go back to the octopus. That is still the craziest thing I've seen. Is someone was selling frozen octopus that they had caught in Croatia. They brought it back to Czech Republic. As you know, we're surrounded by land and mountains. We don't have any sea here. So someone said, I'm selling frozen octopus freshly caught in Croatia. And I went, what the hell? There's no way that's real. No way that's real. About 2 days later, I see a picture on Twitter of a guy holding it up in his backyard saying, look what I bought on Vexl. And that kind of stuff blows my mind because that's just amazing. What about you?
Yeah, I'm thinking there were several. The dating ones were pretty cool for sure. I really hope to get invited for a Vexl wedding, like so for people who met on Vexl. I'm thinking I've seen a Porsche there recently. That was cool, but not funny. But
we saw a horse for sale one time. Someone was selling a horse on Vexl.
Probably horse. Horse would be that one for me.
Yeah, where'd you get your horse? I got it on Vexl.
I must admit, like when I've seen someone is selling horse there, I was thinking like this is a code word for something. There is not. It doesn't make sense. Like who would sell a horse on Vexl? But then actually, they actually kind of like written like it's with papers, like it has a proper, proper heritage, proper like.
Get a question. Yeah, so we got time, I think, for about one more question, so I'll turn it over to you.
Where does the name Vexl come from?
I will let you explain that, or would you?
So I can respond with a proper Slavic accent.
Yeah, it
fits the story.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know, but Czechoslovakia used to be part of the Soviet Union, right? And there was embargo. And for foreign trade, and it was impossible to get foreign goods, foreign currencies, etc. But in every of these countries, every single one of them had this like layer of proxy merchants, these agents of gray economy, who would basically act like this, like middlemen in between the East and the West. Typically, most commonly, they would be selling currencies, like foreign currencies. Because those were impossible to get. If you wanted to get dollars, for example, in like Czech Republic before 89, it's impossible. So they would be basically often standing in the parking lot on the borders of the East and the West, and they would be waiting for the people either going out or in, or they would be hanging around main squares of the major cities. And they would be opening their coin like Vexl, because, and it means to exchange in German. So actually, people in Czech Republic started using it as a verb, like to Vexl something. And these people were called Vexlaks, like Vexlak. So we are paying tribute to these agents of gray economy who actually made, like, they tend to have a bad rep around, among all the crowd. But at the same time, they were making lives of many, many people much, much better because they allowed actually quality goods and often a better life for them.
Thank you guys all for coming. If you have any more questions, please stop by our booth. It's right over here. If you have an iPhone, come learn about the Freedom Store. And yeah, it's great to see all of you. Thank you for coming.